Good evening.
Good evening, Jan. Oh my God. Where do we start with this? Do you want to introduce the show first and foremost?
No. Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Follow Everton as we go through very brief because we realise there's TV matches on after this. The away defeat 2-1 could have been 2-2, could have been 3-2, something along those lines. Yeah, defeat at not White Hart Lane, but against Spurs. Thank you for joining us. Please do like, subscribe, hit the notifications. I'm joined by the big boss man, Ryan, who is no doubt got a lot to say on this, as I'm sure I do. But yeah,
Well, I saw the Everton goals that we conceded. I mean, the first goal, Tarkowski doesn't follow the run of Richarlison. He doesn't anticipate the running behind him, and you're 1-0 down. The second goal, Pickford has to parry it out for a corner or keep it away from the centre of the goal. He parries it straight into the middle of the pitch. Everyone's ball watching, everyone's static, block it. It's hitting from Son. It wasn't a clean strike. Everton have got to do better, and we're 2-0 down on 18 minutes. 2-0 down on 18 minutes, and you think this is going to be 4 or 5. But actually, as angry as I am about that, I'm very pleased about the reaction that Everton displayed for the subsequent 80 minutes, including stoppage time. Chance after chance after chance. Hang on one second, because it's so distracting when they come up while I'm trying to think. Chance after chance after chance after chance. You've got the header from Calvert-Lewin, the keeper saves. You've got repeated opportunities that the keeper saves or that Everton fluff their lines and sky it over. You've got the goal, which is disallowed, ridiculously so, in my opinion. It was a minor contact. You can make anything look like a foul if you slow it down like that. And that should be Everton 2-1 back into the game. And then you've got James Garner hitting the post, desperately unlucky. You've got Andre Gomes with a wonderful strike into the side netting. He was absolutely superb, by the way. As were Everton, actually, after the first 18 minutes. They were superb. They really were, with the way we passed, the way we pressed, and the quality. And then later on with the Danjuma, who had plenty of chances. He could have squared it, but he rifles it over, and then he rifles it, and it's millimetres from being over the line. He was not offside. So, desperately unlucky, and I'm angry. I'm also angry with the ref. The ref was any contact, any time a Tottenham player fell on the floor, he was more than happy to give a foul. It was disgusting.
well,
But Everton was so good.
The frustrating thing for me was watching that, looking at how we didn't capitalise, and throughout that game, when you're saying why didn't we take more from that? Because exactly right, Raymond. Thank you very much. How the hell did we lose that game? Exactly. Well, Brian said Danjuma, greedy glory hunter. To be fair, I do think he had the right to, to take some of those shots if he's confident and he's going to get them, yeah. But also, we should have had a corner from at least one of them. There was contact from Vicario's glove. Now, but you are right. We should have capitalised more because for me, it's an issue of not quite being clinical enough. And it was fantastic to see the creative change when we brought Onana off, who maybe was suffering from an emotional hangover from the Fulham penalty shootout, but I think that it was so great to see Andre Gomes come and add something to the game. We were a lot more incisive. We were a lot more direct. But again, we just weren't clinical enough. And when you say, millimetres from going over, well, the commentary, at least the one that I saw, said that the the added time goal right at the end, or the ball went through and it came off the crossbar and the keeper's there. Apparently, that wouldn't have been looked at because they assumed it was offside beforehand. So I don't know whether the referee disregarded the ball, the watch, because
it didn't cross the line anyway.
Okay, well there you go.
I saw the still of it. It was like the John Stones one. It was very, very close to being over the line. It was a great strike. The keeper saves it, and it comes down, and it was whiskers away, quite literally whiskers away.
Yeah,
and
well, exactly. Sadegeki was
2-2. We were well worth a 2-2, and I could come on here, Jan, and I want to show some emotion. I don't want to be robotic. I want to show some emotion and say Everton were really good for large spells of this game. We were the dominant side. There was only one team in this match. It was a matter of time for Everton to score. If the match goes on longer, another 5 minutes or so, Everton eventually would have scored with Danjuma off that left. 1v1. He's very good 1v1, and unfortunately, we don't have a lot of those situations in normal matches.
we're getting
Look,
so many comments here. Like, we really do appreciate it, guys.
you.
Just the sad thing is, we are going to keep it quite short because of the you know what being on TV afterwards. We could always come on a bit later, but exactly,
Is
everyone.
Chris Lynch a VIP member?
Sorry, yes, I know. But no, okay.
Is that a VIP membership?
Pointed out that we do have a VIP service. For about £3 a month, you can donate to Follow Everton. We'll be dedicated to improving the service and the videos that we put out, but also we'll be able to stream to extra platforms like that. So you'll have a bit of more banter with everyone in the comments. But anyway, back to it. Yeah, we were so much more cohesive. Harrison was doing a lot more, despite looking tired. I thought maybe we got to about 60, 70 minutes. He still ended up putting in a shift. And it was so good to see Beto and DCL working together. The threat and Dan Juma wanting to go forward. Patterson was good going forward. I really do think there was so many positives there, and it's frustrating. I mean, someone's pointed out, Ryan, are you always this miserable? Is everything okay? I don't know whether you are. Well, I'm not miserable after that. I'm frustrated because I think it was Peter said before, there were some refereeing inconsistencies. To think that there was the two balls on the pitch and Mikolenko hit them, and that, in that situation, it should be, you should do something about it when he had that shot in the first half. And then there was Kulusevski was pulling Onana's shirt in the box. Anywhere else, the commentary saying it'd be a free kick. And we're not getting these kind of decisions, and it's just kind of frustrating. I mean, okay, so the linesman is 12 yards away and doesn't do anything. Yeah, as you say, you slow it down, it's going to look like that. But ultimately, if Kulusevski can muscle Patterson off the ball to get the shot, right, and do that, why can't you do that to other players elsewhere on the pitch?
The thing was, Jan, it looked like a small contact foot to foot, but these are footballers. There's contact on the pitch. The linesman thought nothing of it. The ref thought nothing of it, and yet we have VAR interfering and deciding that is a foul. And that Everton, we may not have gone on and scored the second goal, but Everton deserved at that point to have the opportunity to get back into it with 30 or so minutes to play. And I feel I can sit here and say we were cheated out of it. I think there was a failure to take our chances ultimately. There was a slice of injustice about the result.
Well, Peter said here, as I think this nails it on the head, because sometimes you're going to have days where you don't get the bounce, whether that's luck, whether that's a refereeing decision and unconscious bias. But he points out our inconsistency with shots, because the point I was making is we're going to suffer from this game unless we can be more clinical and we can actually capitalise on all the chances. I just felt that we were doing so much right, but unfortunately, it was telling after the substitutions that we were pushing a little bit further for that final few percent to culminate in a goal. But prior to that, we weren't making the exact right incisive pass. We weren't the overlapping into the box. Like Dan Juma at the end. It's the final ball or the final touch or the shot that was just not quite right today.
I'm going to make a few points, and we will do a player ratings. I'll do a separate player ratings later. A few points. Let's be quite concise, and then let's go to the comments, and we'll prioritize the ones we can. The first goal, Tarkowski, why does he leave the man? Very frustrating. It's almost like we came into the game with a bit of a hangover. The second goal, Pickford has got to do so much better, as I said.
But Tarkowski did. There was a couple of times, for instance, when it was 3-on-3 in the second half and Spurs were coming on. Tarkowski didn't immediately go to the man. He shepherded him out, but then closed the gap so very well.
He was really good.
He
was brilliant after that. But I'm talking about that goal. I'm talking about key moments. He was brilliant, Jan, wasn't he, Tarkowski, after that moment? Tarkowski, amazing. Defensively, Patterson and Mikolenko, you were right. Defensively, fantastic. Branthwaite, solid. Spurs posed us no threat. If you'd taken Son out that team and started that game again, after the first 18 minutes, we'd win that probably 9 times out of 10. Andre Gomes, Jan, let's touch on him. He came in number 10 initially, but then when he dropped in, we didn't have to chase the ball as much because we were actually keeping it and playing around teams. And some of his range of passing with his left and right foot. There was one I remember went over to the Harrison, and Harrison should have scored.
Well, unfortunately, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I strongly believe that he's had a recurrence of the same injury a few times, which has really affected him. We tried to get him out of some first team experience, but there just wasn't a place, and we needed to cut the wage bill out. We already had plenty of players, etc., etc. But he was the player, and maybe it's not fair to invoke, maybe the defensible, or he can't defend himself. But my dad said from the start that Andre Gomes had a quality about him, has a touch that's reminiscent of Arteta, that's reminiscent of that class that comes, because he comes from the Barcelona school, and there's something about him. As you say, he can play. He understands how to play football and who's going to be there, and you could see that whether it was dropping forward or making the incisive passes. Sometimes it took him about 5 minutes to get into the game because he was overhitting it. But I really like him.
He was a delight, and we don't have all day to talk about him. We can talk about him again, but he was a delight to watch, with his touch, with his work rate, with his pressing. If I said before the game, if Dyche can get a hold of him and get that work rate and possibly the impetulance and add goals to his game, look, if he can score, like, he's got that ability. Maybe we can get a new lease out of him. He was incredible. And beside him, James Garner again. With the tenacity. Onana was poor according to Chris Lynch. I'd have to disagree. I think he grew into the game and got a bit better. No, Jan, are you agreeing with?
I'm with Chris. Yeah. I don't think he did. He didn't necessarily make any howlers, but he was a bit meh.
Yeah. James Garner hitting the post as well. I mean, whiskers away. There was opportunities for Jack Harrison.
For me, a more rounded analysis of that. Obviously, there's plenty of comments here that maybe hint to this. But as I said about our lack of finishing, but also the tactics of how we played, a team versus a team. We sat back and allowed them to play the game, which is what we've done, and why we've maybe changed our opinion about lack of possession. Doesn't mean that we're going to always be under pressure, but we were waiting. It almost felt, certainly towards the end of the first half and at half time, that we were sitting back and waiting for Spurs to make a mistake so that we could pressure or capitalise or intercept. And they just weren't doing that at that point because they're too good, and then they're quick and they get caught on the break. And then it only became an issue when we made the substitutions that we had, Onana off, and it was certainly after Richarlison came off as well. So it was when Danjuma came on, and after that, and we had Beto and Andre Gomes as well, and it looked like it was very much more driven, direct football. So then Spurs weren't so focused. Yeah. Anyway, pack on.
I mean, we touched on a lot of things there, and I know football fans are going to drop off to watch Liverpool Arsenal, and we will as well. We'll come back to this, I'm sure. I think we can accept that it was daylight robbery, Jan. We can accept the referee was an absolute moron. We were unlucky with the goal that wasn't given. We were lucky with the goal that nearly crossed over the line. The finishing from Gomes was brilliant. The finish from Calvert-Lewin was brilliant. I'm disappointed he didn't get the goal and Gomes get the assist. I'm slightly infuriated. I think we need to be realistic and say that we are where we are, but Sean Dyche is doing an amazing job, Jan. And the performance was light years apart from performance at Tottenham Hotspur ground in recent seasons, and just away at big teams in general. The fact we took it to them, after the shaky start.
Yeah, I mean, there was. It absolutely was a frustrating thing to watch. To think that we were putting in so much effort, and of course, it's positive to see that we're playing so similarly and we're pushing on, and we are playing a lot of faster football. Okay, the commentary are waxing lyrical about a series of 3 or 4 passes that's consecutive one-touch heel passes between Spurs, but we're playing this. We're pulling 3 or 4 Spurs men in as well, and then playing it off to a man who's free, and he's not free, and he's got a man coming onto him, but he's finding space and holding up, and we're doing exactly the right kind of stuff. And it was a great performance. You are right. We did grow into it.
You know what I liked about that, Jan? The early parts of the game, when we were stood off Spurs, they had time to take the ball in space and pass it around us, and we were just chasing them, and we were nowhere near them. When we pressed onto them and went man for man and stopped them and pushed up higher the pitch, we were comfortable. We forced errors. We won everything. Tarkovsky was brilliant. Richarlison was anonymous. And it was a matter of time before we were going to score. We scored, and the game goes on 10 more minutes. We win. We have to take a lot of positives from that game, Jan, that we can do different things. We're in a false position in the league because of the 10-point deduction and some of the results not going our way. But I think we can beat Man City at home next week. I think we can do it. I think they'll be coming back from Saudi Arabia. I think if we play like this, And what I'm liking is the fact there's 18 players now that can contribute. You know, Godfrey and Keane did a decent job. Andre Gomes is doing a decent job. For me, that takes a lot of the stress over which three play in midfield. For me, it's Andre Gomes now, back in that midfield, alongside James Garner and Onana. I don't want to see Garner Gay in there.
Okay. Fair enough.
Should we bring in Basil?
It's your channel, mate.
Basil? You want to come and speak?
Right. We've missed so many wonderful comments.
Okay, have a look at them. Can I also just say it's pretty cool that for somehow Twitter comments are now showing through X comments.
Yeah,
are now showing up on our StreamYard. Can you see them?
The Bon. Great performance despite terrible officials.
It's good that, and we can see who the VIPs are now because they stand out with a fancy thing. I mean, it's a metaphorical VIP, but it's someone who's contributed into the pot. We can actually try and improve the stream. Should we get a closing monologue from Basil?
Go for it.
He was with me.
We were watching it. Ryan was particularly frustrated during this match, but I could see the writing on the wall from very early on. But the officials just wouldn't give us anything, fall over at the slightest thing, and they were on the ground. Spurs got two soft goals from my perspective, goals that we struggled, just gave away really. And before you're 2-0 down, you're away from home. And then I think once Gomez came on, I think it was kind of a different game. I don't know why, but he just seemed to get the ball down.
Composure,
passing it out wide. They just started to knit things together around that central area and just ahead start creating things. And then it's just chance after chance, and it's just the same old script. So we've done it so many times, haven't we? Man U at home, mostly in the home games, hasn't it? That we've actually had these chances and not done it. Away, we've been okay, and we've put chances away, or at least a couple. Today, it just didn't fall for us. Off the line by 4-0 or something, and the post from Garner's thing. It was just there, but it just wasn't there.
There's also a failure to take chances with Jack Harrison. He's showing a lack of clinical ability. There was a few like that, wasn't there?
Well, the frustrating thing for me, I don't know if you agree, was that I find it so difficult to rate the players because they work so hard for most of it, but it's the end product from multiple ones of them where they just were missing the ball. And then it becomes so frustrating because you highlight that and think, if you'd have just had one moment where you'd have pieced it together properly, we'd have had a goal, we'd have had another goal.
Yeah, I think we're playing a lot of games at the moment, so I don't know what you put that start down, but I kind of put it down to being a little bit sluggish at first, but then they seem to just recover and they seem to be all over them for large periods. So it's well, what was wrong? Was that tactics in the first 20 minutes getting the better of you, or is it something else? It's something we need to break down.
And on that, we'll talk about this in more detail, Jan. I think, yeah. Are you happy to call it on that, just on the interest of the...
Do I have a choice? I mean, we
you
are...
can sit on here all day, but I imagine a lot of people have gone to go and watch that game. I can see the numbers have dropped by...
Thank you very much for joining us. As PMAC has said before, it's Toffee TV. Then I'm sure they're dissecting that one. Our wonderful friends over there, of course. But yeah, thanks for joining us for that immediate match reaction Saturday. But as you say, there's plenty of positives to take from it. So onwards we go. See you at Goodison Park on the 27th.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Cheers, Jan. Brilliant.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.
See you again soon.
See you soon.
Yeah!